Hello and welcome back to the Battle Room. My name is, of course, the Battle Room, and today I am joined by the teams from the North American International Championships. So this was the first ever international Pokemon Champions tournament, which is very, very exciting, very, very cool. Everyone came out and tried to play the best Pokemon they could, and I think we've got some really amazing results and a really amazing tournament for the most part. I thought it was a really, really sick event. I had a ton of playing myself. I ended up finishing 18th, so I was so close to top 16. I was one win away. I ended up losing to Dylan Matthews, who was just the nicest dude ever, and also just an incredible player as well. I was one win away from making top cut, which was really, really sad, but I still had a really good run. And if you want to check out my team, I'll be doing a team report later in the week, but my team does come up later in the video, so we'll be able to talk about it and break it down a little bit more. But I'm really proud of my run, and I think it was a sick event. So let's talk about these teams. So I looked through a lot of the teams down here, like the teams that didn't top cut, and a lot of them are just covered up here. So it's not really worth like looking at specific teams down here. We can just keep going up through the top cut and talk about these teams, because I think it will basically cover everything that's going on in the meta right now. Obviously, with the meta changing to regulation MB, some of these teams are probably not going to be as great, but I still think the cores and the Pokemon, I don't think they could possibly add so many Pokemon that, I mean, unless they added legendaries or something, I do think a lot of these teams and a lot of these archetypes are going to remain strong moving forward, right? Like, for example, Sneasler, Frostlass, King Gambit will still be a very, very strong core progressing, right? I highly doubt anything could touch that. We'll have to see. Obviously, maybe Golden Go, but even then you have King Gambit. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about Dylan Matthews' team first here. So Dylan Matthews was actually the person who knocked me out of the tournament. Dylan has been having an incredible season. He's an incredible player, has an incredible season, and he ran kind of a crazy team here. We have Sneasler, Basculegion, King Gambit, Frostlass. Those are like those four Pokemon are just the core of not every Frostlass team, but they're really good with Frostlass. Frostlass just pairs so well with them. They really just cover almost everything in the format outside of stuff like Charizard, but that's what the last two slots are generally for. And in this case, Dylan decided to run Ceruledge and Dragonite. Ceruledge, I can speak from personal experience, is a nightmare for Charizard players. He's basically unbringable because Ceruledge walls him so hard, and Ceruledge can just kind of make the game a 1v1. It's really difficult to deal with Ceruledge, especially with the Swords Dance set. This one is a little bit stronger and more aggressive. Usually you see bulk up, but Swords Dance just allows it to just get going very quickly and just start popping off against Charizard's partner. Dragonite is another Pokemon that does really well into Charizard. Obviously, usually it can kind of just sit in Charizard's face and set up stuff like Tailwind. Dylan had an incredible run, unfortunately falling to Francesco here. But yeah, winning every single game in this day too, just absolutely popping off. So yeah, I mean, I think this type of team is just really strong. The Ceruledge is a really cool choice, and I think it does give you that necessary Charizard matchup that those first four are missing. One really cool thing about his team as well is, of course, this Choice Scarf Basculegion. I don't think Choice Scarf is very popular anymore. It's definitely fallen off quite a bit, especially with the rise of King Gambit. He had 70% usage in day 2. I think in day 1, actually. He was just on almost every team. So running Scarf just feels like a liability just because you can't reliably protect or switch moves, right? You can't start Aqua Jet spamming to dodge Sucker Punch. You just have to take the Sucker Punch on the chin. So Scarf was a cool call from him. It clearly worked out very well, and it gave me a lot of problems as well when I played him. The other notable things here are, I would say, low kick on King Gambit. We're seeing a lot of Swords Dance. King Gambit paired with Frostlass now, specifically on that Lycanroc team. And then we also see a timid Frostlass, which I think is going to start to become the norm. But yeah, congrats to Dylan for having an amazing season and just popping off at this tournament. Next up, we have Marco Silva. Marco just came off of a regional championship win, right? In the last tournament he attended, he won a regional, and now he's back at NAIC, completely changing up his team, by the way. I think the only Pokemon that he has in common is Incineroar, I think. But yeah, he's going for a Trick Room type of Charizard team here with Aerodactyl as a support as well. It's very similar to a lot of the teams that we see, but I think a lot of his choices do kind of differentiate his team from the standard version, similar to the one that I used. So Sash Aerodactyl is not, usually you see Mega Aerodactyl here, but Sash Aerodactyl is a very cool tech just because it makes him so much more consistent at setting up Tailwind. I think Mega Aerodactyl is great at setting up Tailwind, don't get me wrong, he's super awesome, but Sash is just super consistent because it's almost impossible to have two Pokemon outspeed him, right? You would need something like Aqua Jet or some sort of priority, but we have Fergraph for that as well. Marco also running Helping Hand on Fergraph. One of the big trends we saw at NAIC was Thunderbolt Fergraph. Electric type coverage is very coveted, and Fergraph can run Thunderbolt. But Marco opting for the more classic traditional Helping Hand to help power up his buddies, right? Like powering up an Incin or a Charizard can go really, really nuts. And then we have Incineroar. Incineroar Fergraph has been the Trick Room mode for like all time, right? Having this Incineroar allows you to just fake out Trick Room, right? And I really like the Charcoal here as well. It allows you to one-shot stuff like King Gambit. And in Trick Room, he does a ton of damage, especially paired with the Sun that Charizard provides. Sylveon, pretty boring Pokemon, but really, really strong. It's just the spread move spammer. Pairing that with the Trick Room mode and the Tailwind mode is just perfection, right? I think what makes this sort of team really, really strong is Tail Room is just kind of non-existent, and it's been one of the best strategies in VGC. I would say since Dynamic Speed, it's definitely picked up a lot more, but Tail Room's been here since the beginning, and I feel like this team does it so perfectly, right? Like Incineroar easily able to function in Trick Room, and also this one is Brave, but in Tailwind, he can outspeed some big threats as well. Sylveon is the perfect Tail Room Pokemon. It hits that nice, like, it's got like the same speed, as Incineroar, but running that Modest Nature allows you to potentially outspeed stuff like Sneasler in Tailwind, while also still underspeeding almost the entire metagame in Trick Room. So it's just a really, really good combo. Charizard as well. It allows you to run a very, very bulky Charizard set. I personally ran 1 speed point on my Charizard, and I'm sure Marco did something potentially similar. It allows you to kind of just cut the bullshit. You're not trying to speed creep the other Charizards. You're just going to press Trick Room when you need to. And then Garchomp obviously is just one of the best partners for Charizard. Great with Aerodactyl and just rounds the team out. Marco unfortunately lost to Adrian Hurley in Top Cut, but had kind of a crazy run, starting with the most insane gauntlet of all time, playing Emilio Forbes, a World's finalist, Joji Kaida, one of the best online players, and also in real life players, into Victor Medina, right? So he had an insane run, starting out 1-2, and then winning every single game until Top Cut. So congrats to Marco for another amazing finish. Next up, we have Federico, our former NAIC champion. So this team is basically, we've come to call it the new Big Six. I would say it's called Big Six. It's just an easy way to refer to it. It's just kind of popped up. This is the same team that the Japanese national champion won Japanese Nats with, and it was all over that tournament. So obviously, a lot of players are going to pick it up here, including Federico, who did really, really well in this tournament, going 11-3. The team is just uses the best Pokemon. I think that's what makes it so good, is that you just get to like almost cheat. You're like, hey, I'm going to use the 6 best guys, and I'm going to try to win the tournament, right? That's it. So what makes it so strong, though, is like you have Tailwind. King Gambit gives you that Trick Room answer, sorry. And then also, every Pokemon on this team just does damage. This format is, I call it damage slop, and I stand by that. It is truly damage slop. I just want to do more damage than the guy in front of me. So a lot of the time, all my Pokemon need to be able to do damage because I'm trying to out damage them. And I think this team does it almost better than everything else, right? Like having this Mystic Water Basket Legion with Whimsicott lead, you can basically kill almost anything in the format. But then you also have Whimsicott plus Floette, right? You're able to empower your Whimsicott with that Fairy Aura ability, and then also not only that, you have speed control in Tailwind, so you're moving first almost every single time. Encore is an incredibly busted move that I think can set up really, really good end games. It was really a pleasure to watch some of the players, like the really good players, use Encore Whimsicott, because they were just creating these pins that you just didn't even necessarily think about right away, that they caught and they basically exploited their opponents with. It was very, very cool to see. In this format, Encore is really strong because there's just less and less fake out and dark types. Garchomp is just one of the best Pokemon in the game. He pairs incredibly well with Charizard. Like, all these modes are just so overwhelming, right? Like, Whimsicott can be led with every single Pokemon. When I've played this team, I've legitimately been played against every single Pokemon next to Whimsicott. But also, all these Pokemon can be paired together, right? Like, there's just so much flexibility and just really, really in-depth game plans that you can start to really create with this team. So it just makes sense that a lot of players would gravitate towards it. It was obviously one of the best teams to beat and one of the most important. That was #1 on our list. We wanted to have a pretty positive matchup into it, and I still ended up losing to it, even though I thought I had a pretty good matchup into it. So even if you think it's amazing and you think you got it, they might just be a little bit better because the team has so many tools. But Federico obviously is an incredible player, and he piloted it really, really well, ultimately making it to Top Cut. Losing to Wolf and Ale here, and just losing this team twice is pretty brutal. But yeah, a great run from Frederico. Next up, we have Chris Large. This guy, okay, so I don't know much about Chris Large, but what I do know is he spammed the online showdown ladder, and I probably have played him 10 times. Chris Large's team is pure evil. It is 50-50 the team, right? His team is so evil. Let's look at his run really quick. He ended up losing in day 1. He lost 2, but then he just went on an insane run, just winning 5 straight in his day 2 run. And then ultimately losing to Shoma, who is a previous world champion. But this team is 50-50 the team, right? He's got upper hand. He's got feint. He's got acrobatic Sneasler. He's got imprisoned trick room. He's got rage powder, and he's got 3 fake out users to help enable either the Calm Mind Gardevoir or the Water Spout Shell Smash Blastoise. Like, it's just so evil, dude. Like, you never know which fake out users he's gonna lead with, right? That's what makes this team so strong and so potent. And I feel like because he was so high on the ladder and played so many best of 3s, he just kind of knew what to do into most situations, right? He felt comfortable. But like, leading into Blastoise plus Weavile is horrible. Genuinely horrible. Leading it into Sneasler is horrible, right? Like, all these Pokemon are just so obnoxious to deal with. You have so many leads because you can't cover for all of them. Incineroar is a completely different lead than Weavile, even though they're both faking you out. And then same with Sneasler, right? Like, Sneasler's putting completely different coverage as the other two, right? We have an Ice fake out user, a Poison fighting fake out user, and a Dark Fire fake out user. And then also you got to worry about Sinestro coming in, right? Because it's very easy to just fake out Shell Smash, Protect, switch to Cinny. But do you want to call that, or do you think he's going to attack, right? Like, especially if Weavile is next to Blastoise, right? You're like, okay, they set up the Shell Smash. I hit him for a little bit of damage, but now do I go for Sucker Punch? Maybe not, because he's got upper hand. Do I Kowtow Cleave the Weavile? Predicting the Cindy to come in. Oh, he just attacked with Blastoise, right? Like, there's just so many options that he has, and not only that, he has a second Mega in Mega Gardevoir as well. So it's just such an obnoxious team, and shout outs to Chris for going so large, dude. So large in the tournament, dude. His username was Livin' Large, by the way, on Pokemon Showdown, which was a fire alt. Next up, we have Don Check. Don ran this team. This team is very, very boring, but like, at the same time, it's just become one of the best teams in the tournament. You'll notice that, like, even the people who are meant to beat this team, right? Like, everyone knew about this team going into this tournament. People are still losing to it. Very, very good players are losing to this team. And this team's just popping off. This team is just really, really solid, ultimately falling to Eric Rios here. But yeah, this team has been really, really good. The main idea, of course, is that Frostlass is really good, really strong, and this core 4 that we mentioned earlier is really, really broken. But what I think puts it apart is the Swords Dance here, and also the Skull Villain. You just have really, really strong modes to help enable King Gambit, who's one of the best Pokemon in the game. You can set up your Aurora Veil, you can enable Basculegion, King Gambit, Sneasler, make them extra bulky. Or what's really cool about this team is you have a second very, very strong mode of King Gambit setup. You can lead Sneasler King Gambit, or you can lead Skull Villain King Gambit. Just Swords Dance, get going, start dealing damage. All the Pokemon work really, really well together, and it just creates a really, really strong team. I think Skull Villain is also like a very strong Pokemon. He's pretty good. It's just kind of hard to fit him onto some teams. So I think pairing him with Frostlass, while normally it doesn't make a lot of sense because they're both weak to Charizard, having this Lycanroc does put it over the top. I think Lycanroc is kind of bad. I played Charizard this tournament as well, and Lycanroc, it kind of depends. Excel Rock is very cool. Obviously, I had Frigoraph, so I was cheating a little bit in terms of dealing with Lycanroc. But sometimes, even when I watched, like, for example, Marcus Dion set with Wolf, where Marcus had this team and he was fighting against Charizard, sometimes if you just get the reads wrong and the Charizard just attacks, it can really, really set you far back. But I think for the most part, like, Charizard is so broken that having this consistent Excel Rock option is just really nice, whether they're in Tailwind or not. But I still think this team has its problems, but no team in this format's perfect, especially with Double Mega. Like, calling both Megas can be incredibly, incredibly difficult. But I think this team, for the most part, is pretty close to a very, very perfect team. I think it's very strong. It gives you tons of options, tons of outplay potential, and you just get to use the best Pokemon in the game. That's really it. So it makes sense to me. I think it's the best Frostlass team in this tournament. Going into this tournament, this was something I heavily considered. I just didn't want to play mirrors, and I didn't want to use it. I love Frostlass. Frostlass is one of my favorite megas I've ever used. So I don't know. I think it's very cool though, and I think that moving forward we'll probably see teams similar to this, or who knows? Maybe the 6 will still just be amazing moving forward. Next up, we have Marcus Dion. So now we're firmly in the top 8. Marcus Dion had kind of a legendary run. Marcus has been a very consistent player this whole entire season, consistently getting top 2. But I feel like Marcus has just been missing that. He started off the season, I believe, with a 2nd place finish at a Mexico special event. But then after that, he's just been like so close to making cut, but he just kind of missed a lot. And he would oftentimes lose streak his way down there. He would have really great starts and then kind of burn out. But I think this tournament, like, Marcus has always been a really solid player, very good player, but this tournament is like he's back on top, right? And this is a perfect time, like a perfect momentum boost going into Worlds. So I think Marcus is definitely very proud of this finish, and he should be. This was an incredible run, playing against some of the best players in the entire world and just absolutely going nuts with it, right? He ended up losing to Alex Gomez in day 1, lost to Ko Tsukude, who, come on, that's never a rough L, and then ultimately losing to Wolfclick in an insane set, one of the best sets of the entire weekend, and losing on a speed tie. It was a Sneasler speed tie that he could have won. Like, it was just a coin flip, a virtual coin flip. So to take Wolf to a coin flip, gotta feel pretty good if you're Marcus. And Marcus just ran the standard team once again, but he did it well. I feel like if you are one of the top finishers with the team that everyone knows about going into the tournament, that's gotta feel pretty good. It may be boring, it may be known, but he just played better than everyone else, and he was clearly on a heater this weekend. We talked about this team a little bit just a second ago, but again, it just has all the best tools for a Frostlass team. It gives you a ton of awesome mix-up modes. Both megas are just so interchangeable. I really think the only flaw with this team is its Garchomp matchup, but at the same time, you also have a Frostlass, you have a Skullvillain. In the right circumstances, King Gambit can just one-shot the guy, like, depending on how the matchup plays. So I don't think Garchomp is even, like, an auto win, but he is just very annoying, right? But I think this team is, like, again, like, near perfection. I think that the European Skullvillain players, I think they were all Italian players who built this team and ended up, popularizing it. I think they cooked. I think this team is just purely incredible. And Lycanroc is just the perfect Pokemon for that slot, because you do just need that Charizard to answer. But yeah, I don't know what else to really say about the team. It's just very good, very solid team right now in the current meta. Next up is going to be Adrian Hurley. I feel like Adrian Hurley is more known for their more crazy shit, which I guess this team is kind of crazy. They used to be kind of more of a well-known Heart Trick Room player, but now they just kind of like just play other stuff. I don't know. But the run itself was pretty solid, losing round 1 and then winning all the way until the last round. So at this point, they were guaranteed cut as well. So the Wolf, I mean, I'm sure they tried against Wolfclick. I literally was sitting next to them when they played. I think I was sitting next to him for that one, and he was like, "This is a long time coming. I'm so excited to play you." So I imagine that he tried really hard, but beating some of the best players in the world in Ko, Shohei, just absolutely popping off here in their run. Ultimately falling to Francesco in top 8 here. But we have Incineroar, Scarf, Garchomp, which is not something that you see a lot of. No Tailwind, Aerodactyl. Incin also paired with Charizard. I haven't talked about that once yet, so this is like the first time. I guess Marco's team had it in cut. But there's no Trick Room this time, which makes it interesting. We have the Sleep Powder Venusaur and then just King Gambit. Like, this team is so crazy, dude. It's got 3 Pokemon with Protect. It's just like coverage move the team, bro, right? Like, we have no grass moves here. We have all the coverage moves here. All the coverage moves on Aerodactyl, no Tailwind. This is pure damage, right? Everything is dealing the damage. We have a little bit of support with Fake Out, but we also have Flare Blitz in the Sun. That dark coverage can go really far. And then we have that Sleep Powder Venusaur. This guy, he's not necessarily as damaged, but he does good damage with Sludge Bomb and EP. But yeah, this is a crazy team. No Tailwind on the Aerodactyl really catches me off guard. But at the same time, like, obviously that these teams are tested. They're well played, right? Like he did play against Big Six. He actually beat one of the best Big Six players in the tournament in Ko Tsukude. So clearly, even in the mirror, when they have Tailwind, he doesn't care. He's still able to power through. Also, Choice Scarf Garchomp is something we just don't see as much anymore. He's very, very good. Pairs incredibly well with Charizard, with Venusaur. But Roselli Berry has been just like the best item. We've seen that. We've seen Soft Sand. We've seen Citrus. Scarf's just kind of fallen out of flavor. The flexibility of Garchomp changing moves is just too valuable, but still that checkmate potential and having those Scarf Earthquakes can be pretty brutal, especially when you have 2 flying Megas. Chopoberry King Gambit's still goated, still very, very strong. I feel like Chopoberry is a little less, like on Frostless teams, obviously Black Glasses is really goated, but Chopoberry is just still so consistent, giving you that really, especially just in the mirror against other King Gambits, knowing that you can live one low kick, I think goes a very, very long way, especially when you have a low kick of your own. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just kind of just shits out damage and then has Sleep Powder, so not much else I really can say about that one. Next up, we have Dewey. Dewey has had a really strong season as well. Dewey actually got a top cut bye, only losing in day 2, losing 2 rounds in day 2, and then just absolutely popping off, beating the last 3 to get themselves firmly into cut, including beating a crazy Toxic Snorlax team, and then ultimately falling to Eric Rios. And honestly, the set against Eric Rios was like really hacksy, because I had played a team almost identical to Eric Rios' team, and I feel like Eric's team just doesn't have a good matchup. Like, it's not even that Eric played bad or anything. I think the matchup's just pretty horrible, and he needed to get lucky to get out of some of the situations that it's one of those things where it's like, hey, it's a bad matchup, but then when you're playing against someone who's playing really, really well and at a high level, then it's like, oh, dude, the matchup's even worse, right? Like, it feels even worse. But Eric, unfortunately, got a little bit lucky versus Dewey, but Dewey still had a fantastic run here with an absolutely crazy team. This is a team that they ended up running at the prior tournament at Indy, and they just locked it in. They just ran it back. I think it's such a weird and annoying team to deal with. You have multiple setup Pokemon, and then all supports, right? Like, you kind of just look at their team and you say, all right, is Ceruledge my sweeper? Is Milotic my checkmate? Or is Floette my sweeper? And you just kind of go from there. You have 2 fake out users. You have Sinistra to help heal everybody up. And that's all you're trying to do. Obviously, Ceruledge is very, very good into Charizard. Very good also into stuff like Floette. You're able to just bulk up in their face and start trading. You can heal everybody up with Sinistra. Coil Milotic is good into Incin. But more importantly, just teams that are very, very physically focused, Coil Milotic gets to go nuts into. You set up those coils, start spamming Hypnosis, and you're in a really, really good spot. And then obviously, Calm Mind, Draining Kiss, Floette is another really, really obnoxious Pokemon to deal with. So I feel like a lot of the time I saw them play, it was like, you bring, sometimes they just wouldn't even bring their Mega. Like, Ceruledge was the Mega in some situations. I think the sets aren't super crazy. Throat Chop is pretty wild on Sneasler, but at the same time, having that dark coverage can be really, really nice. And Throat Chop has insane utility in this format. Colberberry, Bitter Blade, Ceruledge is kind of the norm. You kind of just want to take one hit from King Gambit, so you're able to get that Bitter Blade off, heal all that Sucker Punch damage back, and just one-shot them. And also just like, so you can bulk up in their face while they kowtow you. Incin doesn't have too many crazy sets. Protect over Recover or something is kind of crazy, but at the same time, not really, because you have Sinistra to heal everybody up, and then Calm Mind, Draining Kiss because it's just the best set. But huge congrats to, and I guess Life Dew's pretty cool, but yeah. No Trick Room or anything, but I think having that extra sustain is really, really nice. But again, huge congrats to Dewey for doing so well in this tournament. Getting 6th place, ultimately getting a little bit unlucky in Top Cut as well. A very, very good run to be proud of, and a sick run as well with such a crazy team. Next up, we have Ko Tsukude. Ko is one of my favorite players in the entire world right now. I think he is so fun to watch. He's nuts, dude. He's nuts. So, like, just in the last year, I'm just going to give you his last year. Actually, I'll throw one more in. In 2019, he won the World Championships in seniors. Fast forward, he has COVID, or not, he doesn't have COVID. The COVID happened, the world, so there were no tournaments. So we didn't really get to see the dominance that Ko could have potentially had prior to this. But then last year at Worlds was when it started to get really nuts. He gets top 8 at Worlds. You're like, okay, he did great. He's a great player. He's a previous world champion. Clearly, very strong player, right? Then he goes to EUIC, where he gets top 16, top cutting. That tournament, you're like, whoa, dude, he's popping off, right? Like top 16. And then he goes to Japan Nats this year, where he gets top 8. And then he comes to NAIC this year, where he gets top 8 once again. Ko is like, you couldn't ask for really, like, I mean, obviously you could ask for better finishes, but like, I think in the game of Pokemon, sometimes the way the matchups are, the way the game is played, like, if you're consistently getting top cut at every tournament you go to, you're just going to win one of these eventually, right? Like, the luck has got to favor you at some point, and Ko is just continuously putting himself into the best positions. He plays pretty boring teams, but he plays them better than everyone else in that tournament, and I think that's what makes him so exceptional as a player, is he is one of the best kind of standard players. So he is just rolling up with Big 6. Literally, he didn't drop a game until Adrian Hurley, when he was guaranteed cut, and he even beat the eventual champion here just for fun in the final round of Swiss. Ko just went incredible, dude. He just went God mode here. And then he ultimately lost in a mirror in top 8, which was kind of a fun set to watch, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, Ko just opting to run Big 6. He's got all the coverage on King Gambit. He's actually running Modest Floette, which a lot of them opted for Timid. Modest Bulky Zard. Citrus Berry Garchomp is something that he prefers. And then Basculegion with Mystic Water, which is the norm on these types of teams. And then Whimsicott as well. Again, a very, very boring team, but a very, very effective one. And Ko is a player that, like, I'm so excited to see at Worlds, to see how well he can perform, because he's just playing amazing Pokemon, and he just understands what he needs to use to give himself success. And sometimes that's just the most boring team in the format. So now we're into top 4, where we have Shoma Honami. For those who do not know who Shoma is the world champion from 2015. He is one of the best players of all time. He is so good. Prior to 2015, he was an online ladder legend. He wins Worlds in 2015, his first chance at Worlds, and Shade Vieira has just been a god in the Pokemon scene. Obviously, he hasn't replicated anything since, but this finish was very, very cool to see. To watch someone who's played the game for so long pop off at a tournament like this, because I feel like he does pretty well at tournaments. I'm not going to say he's bad by any means, but he sometimes kind of like, he usually will get day 2 and then kind of like run out of steam, and like he'll usually end up missing cut, or he'll be very, very close. Last year, he actually won a grassroots offline Japanese tournament, which was very, very hype. But yeah, this year, he's in top 4 of NAIC. I really, really wanted him to make finals. I'm a huge Shade fan. But yeah, he ended up just running the the Japan Nats team that won, almost bar for bar, very, very similar. Obviously, like, this team is very similar to Ko's, but there's just like very small differences that just kind of completely change how you have to approach it. So he lost two rounds in day 1, and then just went on a tear, and then he just didn't lose. He beat that Blastoise team, and then beat Ko, ultimately falling to Francesco here. But yeah, he ran the Timid Floette, which I think is very, very good. It makes a lot of sense. Just being the faster Floette can be very, very beneficial. Whimsicott boring, Basculegion boring, Charizard boring, and then Akaberry King Gambit. Now, this is what the Japanese national champion used to win as well, and I think Akaberry's pretty neat. I'm a fan myself, because I think it makes a lot of sense, because usually in this matchup, specifically the mirror, or when you play against other Charizards, one of his best friends is unfortunately Basculegion. So beating Basculegion is of the utmost importance, but sometimes it's a little tricky to bring King Gambit into the Charizard matchup, but Akaberry lets you do that, and I think that's really, really sick. Like, having King Gambit, just to be able to take one Weather Ball or Heat Wave, sometimes can just shift the entire matchup. So I think it's a very, very cool tech option, and it's very cool that it continues to do well in this format. Roselia Berry Garchomp with 4 attacks is kind of the norm on this team. It just gives you all the coverage you could dream of. But congrats to Shoma for such a godlike run. It was so fun to watch him play, and Shoma is always a treat. He is so good at the game, and yeah, it makes sense that he would just run standard, because that's what he's done in the past to do well. Next up, number 3, we got to talk about him, Wolf Glick. So I actually ended up playing Wolf in the final round of phase 1, right? It wasn't the final round of day 1, but I did play him. He did play my friend Alex Underhill as well, so it was a very interesting matchup. I'll talk about it more in my team report, but he yeah, it was a banger set. I think Wolf played incredibly well. Wolf's obviously an amazing player. Popped off throughout the tournament here, only losing to Ko right there, and then winning every round afterward. Was on stream a ton. The Marcus Diana set, again, was like one of the most hype sets of the entire tournament. Absolutely banger. Let's talk about his team. So this team was so weird. Like, seeing it, it was... It's so odd. I think the Toxapex is very strong though. Having access to wide guard, having access to toxic and infestation can really, like, this format I've mentioned earlier in the video even is all damage slop. We're all just dealing damage as much as we can to each other. But Toxapex, interestingly enough, isn't a damage slop Pokemon. It's very much about that util, about playing it slow, and having that infestation to set up checkmates. It was really sick. A lot of the times you saw him potentially infestation something and then bring in the thing to kill it, right? Like, you infestation something, you bring in Hydreigon. What do? Right? Hydreigon actually was a very cool piece on this team, specifically with the infestation, because it allowed it to just like trap things in and just start getting really important KOs with Hydreigon. I was a huge fan of the way he was playing it, even against myself. Sneasler's obviously a great Pokemon. His Charizard was very bulky, but it was timid to give it kind of an edge in the mirror, because Charizard seems like kind of a rough matchup for his team, but he does have so many resists, right? Like, he has 4 Pokemon that just resist fire. So I think a lot of the time the way he beat Charizard and the way he beat my Charizard was just trading better, right? He's faster than me. He's hitting me with Heat Waves. I'm hitting him with Heat Waves, but they're just not as meaningful because usually one of my Pokemon was neutral to Heat Wave, while he has 3 Pokemon that aren't neutral to Heat Wave. So it was just a very cool way that he approached the Charizard mirror specifically. And again, Timid Charizard was very cool. Incin, his GOAT, he's always going to bring the guy. Mamoswine was pretty crazy, and I almost want to pay for the Patreon to know what the Mamoswine does, because it felt like his other 5 Pokemon were perfect and awesome and such a nice team, and then Mamoswine was just kind of there. I think in certain matchups it can be really valuable. We saw in the Eric Rios matchup, it did get flinched unfortunately, but it was valuable in that matchup, specifically as a way to just answer Garchomp, Aerodactyl. I think Mamoswine has a good spot in the format. I'm a huge Mamoswine lover myself, but he just wasn't bringing it. The other 5 guys were just better most of the time. But yeah, Wolf's team was absolutely insane. The way he was playing it was fire. He just traded better than everyone. He had more bulk than everyone, but he also just kept trading better with the Toxapex, with the Sneasler. Toxapex was really cool. I'm not even gonna lie, Toxapex was sick, and I think he kind of just showed how good it could be. Like, in practice, when I would play against Toxapex, I would sometimes lose, but I always be like, dude, this thing's lame, no one cares, I'm not gonna play against it, right? But Wolf was like, no, it's good. And so I think, like, the way it plays is just good in this format. I think it's really hard to kill. Garchomp is one of the best Pokemon in the game. He's very strong, but we just haven't seen. But like, they all run EQ, so at the same time you can wide guard that, you can get around it. It's also just very bulky defensively. You have fake out options. You can intimidate it. So like, at the same time, I think like the one answer to Toxapex is just not really there. And Psychic types, the only Psychic type that people use is Farigiraf, but the rest of his team is so kitted out to destroy Farigiraf that it just doesn't matter. So I think his team is actually like such a good Toxapex team, as silly and crazy as that sounds. And I think he just played really well. Yeah, I mean, I like, even in the Eric Rios set, I think he totally could have beaten him if things went his way a little bit more. Eric is he's kind of a luck demon in this tournament, especially in this top cut. But yeah, Wolf 3rd place. Nice job. Congrats. I'm sure he's happy with that one. An incredible run with a cool team as well. He just always cooks, dude. Next up, we have Eric Rios. So this is basically the team that I ran, which slight variations. Eric opted for Roar over Protect on Farigiraf, and I had Roselia Berry Rock Slide on Garchomp instead of Stomping Tantrum. Soft Sand. So I know this team very well, and going into this tournament, I thought it was a really good call, mainly because Farigiraf is able to stop those Lycanroc teams. You can set up Trick Room, and I think a lot of teams are very weak to Trick Room. So specifically answering Lycanroc is very important for Charizard. Farigiraf helps do that a ton. And then the other thing is you want to be very good into Big 6. And Big 6 is very weak to Farigiraf as well, and a lot of these Pokemon in general. The mix-up modes can be very obnoxious. If you play into the Whimsicott mode, you can Trick Room them. If they don't bring Whimsicott and you bring Aerodactyl, you just win, because Aerodactyl is just so good into that team. So it can be very hard for your opponent to call what you're going to do. And then sometimes if you just go the Trick Room mode, they'll just have Whimsicott in the back just in case you have Aerodactyl. So it just makes that matchup, which is one of the most important, I think it makes it really positive. And you'll see Eric, he did lose to to the Lycanroc team, but then he was also able to beat it as well. The Lycanroc team can be kind of annoying with this team. He did lose to it down here as well. He actually just like, yeah, he didn't have a good time versus it. 2 of his losses were to the Lycanroc team. But yeah, I think the way finals went, Eric probably should have won. I think his team was really, really good in that matchup. But Francesco, he just kind of diffed him. He got those flinches when he needed to and just kind of put Eric under. I think Eric was really, really smart to run the soft sand guard jump, though. I really like that set, mainly of the matchup into Wolf. I think that having soft sand, like, he got a little bit lucky versus Wolf, but at the same time, I think that guard jump really pulled its weight in that matchup specifically. This team is just so fun to play. It's so sick. The Sash King Gambit, I didn't even talk about that. Sash King Gambit is a legend. He is so obnoxious to deal with, right? Like, you can just lead for Rigoraph King Gambit, and you're just sitting there like, oh my god, dude. Because if you don't have 2 Pokemon that can outspeed King Gambit, he is going to kill something. He's going to cause you problems, or he's just going to deal enough damage that now you're going to set up Trick Room, and you're just going to sweep with Charizard or Sylveon. I think this team just kind of felt like I was cheating most of the time, because having such a bulky Charizard paired with Trick Room or paired with Tailwind, where I got to control the ebb and flow of the game, just felt amazing. Sylveon felt like it was in a very, very good spot in the meta, and the Sash King Gambit was just really, really difficult for players to deal with. So I think Eric had such a great team and such a good call. Obviously, he had such a great team and a great call. It's just kind of interesting because I don't think Eric stole the team from Ladder, and I don't think we stole the team from him. We just happened to be in the same 6 Pokemon. And also there was another player as well, Mao Harada, who also ran the team. Like, this team is just kind of a team that came out of nowhere. And then also Alex Gomez did incredibly well with the team as well. So there were 4 of us who just kind of came to this conclusion that these 6 Pokemon were really, really good. This team is a team that did well at Korean Nationals, but I just haven't really seen it on Ladder. So I'm very curious to find out how they came to the conclusion to run this team, because we just kind of came to it randomly one night. Like, we just were like, dude, what if it's the play? It's always been good. What if it's the play? And then we just kind of fell in love with it. So I don't know. It's very interesting. But yeah, Eric did really, really well, getting 2nd place with the same team that I did. And then Francesco obviously won the entire tournament. Congrats to him. Just one of the most consistent players in the world, consistently. Ended up losing to the Lycanroc team, and then lost to Ko in the last round on Big 6, and then just went on a tear, beating all the teams that he lost to, right? Did he beat the Lycanroc team? Yeah, he did. So yeah, he basically ran a very, very similar team to Eric, but the Furgraph, I think, completely changes how you have to approach the team and the game. Like, Furgraph, it's just a 1 Pokemon difference, but I think that changes everything, right? Like, the Sash King Gambit is very, very important, and very, very different. Running the potentially faster Sylveon, running Hyper Beam instead of Yawn. Obviously, having a Trick Room mode with Furgraph is completely different than not having it, especially when you have to rely on that Aerodactyl to help with the Big 6 and the Tailwind mirrors. Makes it very, very interesting. But it's really funny because Francesco even posted this team like 2 weeks ago. He said, hey, before Indy, I think this team could win. This is my best team. I think it's the best team in the format. I'm going to post it for $5. And everyone's like, $5? You're trying to sell the team for $5? And then he ended up winning the entire thing with, I believe, the spreads he put on the Patreon, which would be so funny. But yeah, Francesco, I think last year he top cut every IC. He's consistently one of the best players in Europe. He's so consistent, so good. And so he kind of reminds me of Ko in a way, where it's like, hey, Ko was going to win one of these tournaments someday. Francesco was going to win one of these tournaments eventually, dude. It was just a matter of time when he got the right matchups, when he got the right luck, or he just didn't get the bad ones, right? Because he is such an incredible player. And he finally did it. He wins the tournament. Congrats to him. It was actually pretty sick to see him win, because he just works so hard and he is so good at this game. But yeah, breaking the team down, we got Charizard once again. It's very similar to Eric's, but I think it's very important to talk about the differences. Specifically, like bulky Tropical Berry King Gambit is very different than Sash King Gambit, right? Just completely different. The Sash Basque Legion gives you a lot of different options, having that potential checkmate. Sylveon is still obviously very, very good. Pairs incredibly well with Charizard. Fire Fairy coverage is nasty work, really disgusting and strong. You pair that with Tailwind. you can just start doing insane damage. Obviously, Mega Aerodactyl is really cool because he's both a good Mega, but also a good utility non-Mega that you can bring into a lot of matchups. That's really, really important when you're playing Aerodactyl, is to utilize him as that non-Mega, and I think that this team does it perfectly. Garchomp is still just one of the best Pokemon in the game, but actually running Rock Tomb was really, really huge throughout Francesco's run. There was a lot of situations where he just won games because he just Rock Tombed Last Respects, Rock Tombs Hyper Voices, right? It gives him a little extra speed, and I think Rock Tomb was probably one of the best moves on his team that allowed him to play this team as well as he did. Obviously, Tailwind is disgusting and super, super strong, but then if you're both in Tailwind, having that little extra Rock Tomb speed drop can be incredible. But yeah, otherwise it's just like, dude, it's just four of the best Pokemon in the game, and then a fairy type because you don't want to run triple Mega, and then a secondary Mega with a utility role. I think it's a very cool team. Obviously, it's very Rock Slide heavy. Can get a little bit lucky, but that's how it is. That is how it rolls in this game that we call VGC. But yeah, it was a really, really sick tournament to watch. I had a lot of fun watching finals. I'll be reacting to finals tomorrow if you want to check that out, breaking down the sets because I'm actually very, very familiar with that matchup. So if you want to see me break it down, check it out tomorrow. I'll have a team report coming in the week about my own team. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. I had a lot of fun doing it. I'll see you next time.